Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about my next read in my journey to read all the 2024 World Fantasy Award nominees, and that is Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufon by Wole Talabi. I really hope I pronounced that right. So what is this book about? Essentially, Shigidi is a nightmare god in the Orisha pantheon, which is like the Nigerian tribal pantheon of gods, and Shigidi in particular is basically an employee in the Orisha pantheon spirit company. I'll explain a little bit more about that particular piece just now. So he's pretty much your essential wage slave in late stage capitalism. He just barely makes enough to survive. He never quite thrives. He's beaten down and abused by his bosses, that kind of thing. And then whilst on a job, he encounters Neoma, who is a freelance succubus, who's just living life to the fullest, and it changes Shigidi's entire outlook. And between the two of them, they strike up a partnership, and that's pretty much what leads Shigidi to an entirely new chapter of his life, right up until they decide to accept a commission from Oloran, who is essentially they think of him as the Primarch of the Orisha pantheon, and to steal an object, to steal a Nigerian artifact from the British Museum. And what unfolds is a heist that goes anything but according to plan. And yeah, that's essentially the plot of Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufon. But this book is so much more. So, first thing right off the bat, you'll read one of the most common books this book will be probably compared to is American Gods, except you'll probably hear, oh, it's a Nigerian take on it. And that's a valid comparison because, like, Shigidi is a nightmare god, and Neoma's a succubus. And this world that they're in is just it's a 21st century take on godhood, essentially. So in this world we have the pantheons are all organized into companies, and so each pantheon is its own company, and they're governed similar to how countries are governed in our world, with like trade agreements and travel restrictions and all these kinds of things. Which is why Oloran initially recruits Shigidi and Neoma to steal to steal this object for him, because not only does he need it to maintain power within his pantheon, but technically Shigidi haven't left the spirit company and Neoma. They're freelancers, disposable freelancers. That he can swear he doesn't know anything. He's not associated with. So there's that. It's a really fun twist on things, because this is very much late stage capitalism. Like Shigidi, the character of Shigidi, to start with, he's a minor nightmare god. So not only was he essentially trying to survive on the dregs of it, like he had an overbearing supervisor he had to endure, looking at the gods who managed to finagle their way into power at the top of his pantheon, seemed to just reap all the benefits of the work of the other gods and thrive and lead this luxurious lives, whereas it's a good day when he can afford to go out and drink his beer. That kind of thing. And on top of that, as if that's not bad enough, as a nightmare god, Shigidi is literally the stuff of nightmares. Like he's squat, he's horrible looking, he's never known the love of a woman, these kind of things. And then he meets Neoma, who has access to pretty powerful magic, and once they strike up a business partnership, Neoma, she uses her magic to transform Shigidi and give him a form that he wanted for himself. So he he becomes like swole, and he much better looking and these kind of things. And what ends up happening is that we the Shigidi that we meet at the start of the novel, he was just beaten down, just living a day at a time, purposeless, directionless, that kind of thing. And after his transformation, he becomes a much more he becomes a little more self assured, a little more confident, that kind of thing. And then we have Neoma, who is as a succubus. She like sexuality is very much a part of her personality, and something that she just frequently weaponizes, because it is her it not only is her power, but she thrives on the power that it gives her over other people. And one thing I think, and that's actually something I think that can rub readers the wrong way, because that's a very thin line to thread. To thread, I think. Like I can easily see like the depiction, her depiction, and the way she's handling this book rubbing people the wrong way. For me, it was like, okay, she's a succubus. This is what a succubus is known for. Is it truly out of character for her? And that's not to say she doesn't have her own arc through here. Like when we initially meet her, we meet her doing her thing, living her life. Instead of following the rules, she just takes it all and gives nothing back. And over the course of the novel, we see her slowly transform and slowly change through her partnership with Shigidi, which also has a benefits component to it, by the way, between the two of them. So there's that. And then, of course, there's Oloran, who he plays a minor role in this novel, but he's very much what you would expect as kind of like the primarch of a religion, except that if you're thinking that he's essentially a Nigerian Zeus, you would be very wrong. He has his own vibe to him that by the end of the novel, it was a bit surprising, because as much as he sees Shigidi and Neoma as disposable, there does come a time when it becomes quite clear that even though like Shigidi is essentially disappointed him by leaving the spirit company and these kind of things, like there is an element of concern there for them that you wouldn't necessarily factor into all of this. So it was really great characterization all around. One thing I think I liked about this book, and I think I really only pick up on it because I know so many Nigerian people, is that, and this is something I don't think very many Western readers might be able to appreciate, but there's just something in here that it just, like, if you've spoken to Nigerian people and you have friends who are Nigerian, there's just something about their personality and their culture, so that really just resonates in this book. Like, for example, one of the things that I picked up is that there's a focus on kind of physical appearance and the way that it affects you mentally. So the most obvious example would be Shigidi with his nightmare looks and his low self-esteem as a result, and then he gets this radical makeover, and suddenly he has a much higher self-esteem. Throughout the novel, there's like every time you meet someone who's hefty, pains are taken to point out that they're hefty and these kind of things. Like I don't know how else to describe it except that it's pretty much on brand. And obviously that's a sweeping generalization, but for the people that I've met, the Nigerian people that I know, like it's a thing. It's just a thing. I don't know how else to describe it. But yeah, Like, I think one of my favorite things of the book was just how the way that the pantheons are structured, and just these complex agreements that are in existence between them, because we do get encounters with other members of other pantheons, and the rules and the structure of this world is slowly revealed. And it was just fun. It was just fascinating to read about. It's not as nebulous and whimsical as, say, another popular book that is sort of being compared to, but it does just the mere fact that it's structured and organized in such a capitalist way that, like, it was a nice twist to it. And make no mistake, it isn't in any way glorifying capitalism. Like, we see that firsthand from the way Shigidi lives initially before he meets Neoma. Like, it's really not great. Like, overall, it was just really well. It was just like, I enjoyed it immensely. Like, it's fast paced. Once things get going, they really get going. And it's helped by the fact that Oloran, when he requests that they steal the brass head of Obalufon, he gives them an incredibly short deadline in which to do it, which forces them to turn to a rather well-known character of a rather well-known character in the British occult circle. I think you can the first name that cropped to your mind with that little description is probably who you're thinking. And I like his depiction, because instead of being pictured as like this savvy, evil person of great power, like, he's depicted in a very different way. One that kind of plays with, like, the racist undertones, with like the history of racism, like, a more twisted side of racism, especially given, like, the time frame in which he would have initially met some of these characters. Like, it was well done. It was well done, that particular piece. But first and foremost, like, this is a quick, fast-paced, action-packed heist novel, and obviously in these heist novels, like, the heist never goes according to plan, and that's pretty much what you get. Like, the fascinating part of it was to see what happens after the heist, and it was well done. It was well done. Like, I enjoyed this, but I still don't think it's quite my pick for what I would. I don't think it would be my pick to win the award. As of this moment, that's actually, I have to give that to Tananarive Jew's The Reformatory, because I'm still reading that book. I'm just about halfway, but oh my god, that book is incredible. But I'll discuss that one at a later date. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Shigidi and the Brass Head of Obalufon. Pretty decent book. I can see why it's garnering quite a bit of love, and yeah, it's fun. If you're a fan of American Gods, it's certainly worth picking up. And that's all I have to say about that. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.